than your currency. Splurging millions, buying houses like Monopoly. Fucking 9 to 5, man, the money is a joke to me. Buying cryptocurrency, my money in the privacy.
Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the No BS with Birchy podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Birch, and this is the show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. I've got a special guest with us today. We've got special guest William Haar, and I'm really excited to have you on the podcast this week, William, and share with your story and what you're doing out there in the marketplace, and where you're coming in from. I know that you've got a wealth of knowledge there, and a lot of people will be, wanting to talk to you after our conversation today because of what you do and how. So I guess maybe if we just want to do a bit of an introduction on yourself, William. I've known you for a long time now, and we've been working together professionally for many years. But I guess if you want to give everyone that's watching and viewing a bit of a rundown on your background, where you've come from, what you do, and we'll get into it.
Yep. Yeah, look, first of all, Nathan, thank you for having me on this podcast today. It's a great opportunity to share this space with you during lockdown. I know that's probably the best forum at the moment, but it's always a pleasure having a chat to you, Nathan. So thank you.
Awesome, mate. My pleasure. It's, you're a gentleman, so yeah.
Yeah. Look, a bit about myself. I used to work for the big corporations. My last major employed professional role was with the Commonwealth Bank. So I was a senior advisor with them for a good 15 years. But over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of changes in the advice industry, and as you know, a lot of the banks have exited this space. But that didn't deter me from, continuing my passion as a financial advisor to help, elevate the financial well-being, like what you do as well, Nathan, the financial well-being of people so they can lead better lives. So now I run my own practice. It's called Breakthrough Wealth Solutions. I represent an advice licensee group called RI Advice Group, who is also owned by a major listed company called IWF Holdings as well. So they're a listed multi-billion-dollar company on the stock exchange. So a bit about background of who I represent, who's behind me. But what I do in a nutshell is pretty much I help people very much like yourself create wealth and protect their wealth, Nathan. If I was to sum it up, that's what I do. And I run a practice. I've got myself another senior advisor working with me in the practice. And within our practice as well, we've got two great support staff, Breeden and Leanne. They help us provide great service and advice to our, clients that we service.
Yeah. And with it, we've got a lot of mutual clients that we've helped out over the years as well, from structuring and planning. For everyone out there, always make lots of calls out there, but I always say I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. But William is a financial advisor, and there's some areas where we work very closely on, which I don't always agree with, like people that have their money just in their super funds and stuff like that. And I think that a lot of the time people need to be their own financial advisor and work closely with the professionals to get to where they want to be and reach their goals. And that's what you specialize in. And you're a licensed financial planner and advisor to help people, whether it be minimizing the risk, but also building out their super funds and whatnot. So it's really important, if you do want to be your own sort of financial manager, that you've got a great team that's around you to support you. And one of the things that I've realized recently, one of our investors were talking about their wealth report had come in, and they'd messaged me and thanked me and said, the properties you bought, Nathan, have done great. And I looked at this report and I was like, come on, I've never even looked at that with William. So I know that you do it. It was really the first time I'd gone through it, and the detail that you have in your wealth report is amazing. But maybe if you can just tell everyone about that and why you do that, and educate everyone on that.
Sure. Look, my pleasure. Look, it's a lot of money has been invested in this technology. It's called Wealth Central. It's a platform, a portal, so to speak, Nathan, and it's actually exclusive to clients of our advice group. So it won the best new advice technology voted by Investment Trends in 2020. And what it is, it's an engine that allows you to capture your current financial situation, goals and objectives, and then it has a powerful modeling engine that actually shows you, based on your financial decisions, whether you invest in properties, whether you invest in super, you invest in the share market, whatever assets that you invest in. It has the ability to then project that forward in any point in time to show what those financial decisions mean for you in terms of how you're tracking to achieve your long-term goals. And it's a great tool. And like you said, graphically, I'm always of the view, Nathan, I think, in order for you to really see how well how well you're doing, you need to be able to track your progress, right?
Yeah.
Rather than scribbling things on a piece of paper here and there or having multiple spreadsheets. The feedback that I've got from all my clients, that once they were able to use this tool, it's powerful because it captures everything in one particular platform. And you don't have to, find which piece of napkin you wrote things on, a couple of months ago. It's a live working platform.
Yeah. And when I saw it, because I'm a touchy-feely visual sort of guy, and when I saw that, I was like, this is great. Like, I just really liked it because I could see, you'd had in there measures of where their wealth had gone, what their net worth position was, what their debt position was, what their, and I guess once you've got clarity, it's like having a roadmap. Then you can work backwards where there's elements of risk, where it could be a detour, where we need to, veer off to the left or whatever. So seeing that was really, really cool. So I just wanted to give you kudos for that because I'd never seen anything like it before.
Sure. No, look, it's great. And look, I use it as a tool when I catch up for annual review meetings with my clients, Nathan. That's the tool that I use to help my clients track how they're progressing. And I guess you can think of it like a report card, so to speak. So back to the old days of school, right?
We don't want to talk about school.
No.
I picked on it and didn't like it.
No.
Your experience in this space, like you've had obviously we do similar sort of, like we talk about people's financial positions and all that sort of stuff. You come from the corporate world. You've seen lots of things in the back end of the corporate. You've seen a lot of experience over the years. You've been doing this for a very long time. I guess just for our viewers and listeners, like maybe if you could just share like some of the things that you've picked up over the years, like around the importance of money management and wealth building and I guess risk minimization as well, because people say they want to go do something but they don't get the foundations right. So if you can maybe just share a little bit on that.
Yeah. Look, you've touched upon a very important aspect. I feel that sometimes people tippy-toe around, Nathan. Look, managing money to me, is very important because it impacts a lot of areas of our lives, whether we like it or not. It is very important. And I always have the saying, it may not bring you happiness, but it definitely ranks up there with oxygen, right? So it's just as important as oxygen. But where it can lead to helping you fulfill your life. It could mean whether you and your family live comfortably, for example. You're not stressed at night thinking about where the money's going to come from to help you cover the bills, mortgage repayments, kids' education spending, medical expenses, or it also enables you to help a lot of your loved ones as well. So for those reasons, I feel being able to manage money will help you improve your life so much better than not being able to manage money effectively. And the other thing that I wanted to share with our listeners as well is that in life you either learn how to control money or have money control you. And I think you and I probably share similar views to this, Nathan. I think, your thoughts on that?
We look at the world that we live in today and the options like money and currency and it's just buying yourself options of more opportunity, giving yourself you can minimize your own risk. And looking at the world, like in the last 24 months, I knew it from when I was 18 years old. When I was 15 years old, I saw instability in cash flow in the household. It didn't come from a silver spoon in my mouth. And I was like, getting control of your own financial position is very, very important, because you want to be in control of your own personal life and not at risk. And the last 24 months, like we were talking about before we started recording, that like you and I have never been as busy as what we are today. And I think it's probably because a lot of people have realized that they can't just rely on one source of income anymore. Their job, they had a job and now their life's in a ruin because they didn't plan more structure around that. And, that's what, you need to be in control of your finances and not being controlled by it, which, much agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, the subject of minimizing risk, I think one thing that I see, amongst successful investors, business people, Nathan, is that they learn to not only take advantage of the upside, but they also learn to control the downside risks, right? And when we're talking about downside risk, from my world, from in terms of financial planning, I'm talking more about protecting, having adequate life insurance, disability, trauma cover, and income protection. There's many things you protect from a business point of view. You take out certain insurances, or as a landlord for property owners, you take out landlord insurance. But from my space, our health is really the number one thing that we need to be concerned about, because if you take your health away, and your ability to generate an income goes away as well, right? Unless you have, like you and I both know, unless you've got substantial assets that generate passive income, then you don't have to worry too much. But end of the day, if you're not at that stage yet, or you're in the early stages of wealth creation, making sure you've got adequate life insurance, disability cover, trauma cover, and income protection to protect yourself, your wealth, your family and loved ones, it's crucial.
Yeah. I've got a really random question,
Sure.
random. This is way off topic. I'm going to just ask you for all my listeners. They're like,
feel free.
This one's way off topic, right?
Okay.
But it just makes me think of something. I noticed that recently, like a lot of providers have not allowed renewal of life insurance. Like, so for example, I've seen NRMA, NIB, all these different places. Like, maybe could you share a bit of light around that? Like, I sent it out to my Birch feed viewers and I was like, look, this is very odd. No one's doing life insurance now. Like, do you know much about that, or?
Yeah, so on that topic, Nathan, good. I'm glad you brought this up, because there's a lot of changes happening in the insurance space. Over the last maybe 5 to 6, 7 years, the insurance industry has undergone major changes and they've been hit pretty hard. Interest rates have been so low, so they haven't been able to invest the premiums that they collect in a way to help them cover claims that are coming through, so to speak. So when you think about it, right, and claims are on the rise. So when you have claims on the rise, which is an expense item to these insurance companies, and they're not making as much on the back end of all their assets, then they're suffering losses, right? So from that perspective, insurance renewals or applications are now being scrutinized a lot more. So it's harder for you now to apply for additional insurance, especially during COVID as well. And that's a new spanner in the works that gets thrown in. But income protection is another big thing that's changing from 1st of October. So a lot of our listeners tonight, if they don't have a financial advisor, they may not be on top of what's happening there. And from 1st of October this year and next year, it's going to be a lot harder to get comprehensive income protection, Nathan, meaning that the income protection policies that are offered is going to be a lot more simpler, more basic. Less. It's going to cost less for the insurance companies over the long term to pay out claims, and it'll be harder for people who own policies after 1st of October to make claims on their policies.
Yeah. Wow.
So those are the big changes happening across the industry, and look, it's also being legislated through the government to have these changes come into effect, because to help the insurance companies remain viable. There's a lot of consolidation happening now. A lot of the smaller insurers are being swallowed up by the bigger players at the moment.
Yeah, I just found it very strange, like the timing of it. In the middle of Corona, we've got a lot of them that are, that are being coming out with the reports, just saying as of the 1st of April, as of the 1st of March, whatever the dates were on them. I got sent like about 10 of them the other day where all these places weren't doing it. So yeah, I guess it's good and warrant to make sure that your insurance company, A, is solvent to pay out if there's an issue. B, to make sure that that you're with the right insurance company in case you do need to make a claim. You don't intend on making a claim, but if you do, that you can actually get paid out. So
Absolutely.
I guess everyone chat to you about that. And I guess over the years, like you mentioned to me, like when you first started in at working at CBA in your role in that, like. How long, like you've been there, you were doing that for many, many years. Like I'm assuming like your mentors and stuff, like it was one of the questions that, it was asked like that.
Yeah.
I always ask people, like doing this sort of series is how did you find your mentors over the years and what sort of things did you pick up from and that you share in your experience today with the advice that you give to everyone?
Yeah, look, I share the same view as you in terms of the schooling system, Nathan. I'm a firm believer that our schooling system fails us from educating us on how to effectively manage money. I think that's something that's lacking in our schooling system. That I feel my role as an advisor, to give back to the community, that's where I'm most passionate about. Trying to improve the financial literacy of the community. So for me, a lot of my learning, real life learning, so to speak, happened after school, happened after university, right?
Yeah.
So look, there's no guarantee that because you're highly educated, university degreed or multiple degrees, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be financially successful. They're two different things. Yeah. And I think you and I can agree on that, right? So,
and I guess from seeing, like, you see people's position every day. I see everybody's position every day as I talk to them, and it's interesting. Like one of the things that I've noticed over the years that it doesn't matter. Like I could have someone on $500,000 a year that could end up with a better financial position. That like someone on $100,000 could end up with a better position than someone on $500,000 because of the choices that they made and the decisions and lifestyle positions that they made, one over the other. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it comes back to, look, for me, my personal journey started, my parents, they weren't wealthy. They sold up all their assets in Vietnam to pay their way through, to get on a boat as a refugee to Australia, right? So for me, when my parents came over, from Vietnam to Australia, we were refugees, Nathan, and, they had nothing. They started with nothing. They were factory workers working, long hours during a week to put myself and my brothers and sisters through school. That's all they knew. So they didn't have the time, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the education or the network to actually educate themselves on how to create wealth, right? So for them was all about, okay, make sure all of you, get a proper education, go to school, graduate, get good degrees. So that was their message that they send out. And they're not the only one, right? I know a lot of parents, probably including yours, Nathan, I'm not sure, but definitely a lot of parents out there, that's the message, right, that they send out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, look, don't get me wrong. It's good intentions. I'm not saying it's a bad intention. And you need to, we live in a country where education is pretty much offered for free in a way, right? Compared to other countries. So we shouldn't take that for granted. But a lot of, like I said before, a lot of my learning came from reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for example, Robert Kiyosaki. And funny that you asked this, that, to me, that was really the first book that changed my views on what I thought about money, because everyone thinks about money in a different way, have different attitudes to it, Nathan. And some people can get very emotional when you talk to them about money and get very defensive, right? Yeah.
It doesn't matter how lack of money I've ever had or how much money that I've ever had, I'll still talk about it because it's it's important. It's healthy. It's healthy to have the discussion and to, it's like saying you've got a health issue and you choose not to go to the doctor and get it checked out. If you're choosing to avoid it, then it's going to create a bigger problem. But yeah.
Absolutely right. But look, the turning point for me was the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. It really opened up my eyes, and this was way before I became a financial advisor. I mean, this was back in the days when I graduated from high school. I mean, from university. Early stages of figuring out what I want out of my career. So I was an employee for a number of companies, and reading that book really put me on the path to thinking, okay, right, there's many ways to earn an income. Working for someone and earning an income is not the only way. So that really was the message take out from that book, Nathan. The second thing, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do I teach this to my kids? They're so young. I mean, I want them, when you have all that knowledge and you're thinking, how do I get my kids to know this at a young age so then they don't make the same mistakes as I do, or, waste all those years, right? So, on the weekend, I was playing this board game. It's called Cash Flow 101. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, from Kiyosaki as well, from Rich Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, from Rich Dad Poor Dad. For 100 and whatever it is, $120, $140, or I think about $80 actually. For $80, it's a great investment. The way I look at it, right? But I was playing with my daughter, and she's what? She's 9 years old in year 3. And she's picked up all these little cards, small deals, big deals. So now this is about getting her on the path of understanding what's a balance sheet, what's a income and expense statement, what's a balance sheet, what are assets, what assets actually give you money, what's a doodad, like the liabilities, the things that you spend money on that actually is a waste of your money. So it's a great way to have fun with your kids, but also to teach them the good money habits. And this game alone, if you sit down with some mates or over dinner and play it, I can guarantee you have disagreements, you have different points of view, you have those even on high income that may struggle to get out of the rat race, Nathan.
Like people often say, that I play real life Monopoly, right? The funny thing is, I've never even played Monopoly. I don't even know. I just know there's the greenhouses, red hotels, or something like that. And we just started the Birch Hotel Group this year, which is funny.
But congratulations!
Thank you. Thanks, Ed. With it, I actually, as you're saying it, I'm actually going to go get the game just for the fun of it, because I've never played it, and get a few people and go and play it, because it'd be interesting to see the mindset behind it. Even, I guess as a parent, you want your kids to learn as much as you can. And, the world that we live in, schooling just teaches to become a good, obedient tax slave, to work hard, pay taxes, and the game's constantly changing. If you can instill into your children, a lot of people ask me the same things. And when people see me and go from kindergarten to year 12, they think it's a good role model for their kids, and their kids go, I don't have to do anything at school now because Nathan failed, so I can fail, right? But it's it's not that. I guess teaching the children on how to handle wealth, because we're not dealing with, for me today, it's not about if I earn another dollar in my life, or another $1 million, another 10 million, or get to $1 billion. It's not about me. I've got enough cash and assets and shit to survive. But I'm playing for intergenerational wealth, the next generation, the generation after that. And, as a lot of viewers and listeners will be trying to build wealth for themselves today, they may not even be thinking about this yet, because it was never something I thought of 20 years ago. But now it's I think more about it. It's okay, well, do I just go and blow it all before I die in, obviously 80 years' time, hopefully? Or do I plan for future generations? And that's where I guess you come in for, because you're here to help people plan for intergenerational wealth as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, look, I help my clients over a long period of time, and there will come a point in their life where they need to leave their wealth to their kids and grandchildren, Nathan. So we got to have that planning, succession planning in place. But, the message is, one of the best things you could do for your kids is not so much leave money to them, so to speak, up front, but really leave with them the wealth that you have, the wealth that you've accumulated in terms of your mindset, your teachings, because with that sort of understanding and knowledge, they'll be able to manage the money that you leave with them, Whereas if you don't spend that time that they need it, and you just hand them over, you know, a couple of $1 million or whatever it is that you end up passing on, and they don't have the mindset to manage that wealth, they're going to lose it all.
I think there's a proverb. It's like from rice fields to rice fields or something. Like the first generation gets out of the rice field, the second generation keeps out of the rice field and expands on that. Third generation got what was working in there. The next generation, they're back in the rice fields.
Yes, that's exactly right. So look, you know, very, very important. But the best thing you can do is really to teach what you know to your kids and grandkids, you know, at some stage in life. To me, that's really the ultimate level of passing on knowledge and wealth.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I guess, like, you've seen so many people's positions over the years. Like, there's ways to protect yourself, and you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly in between. I guess, what would be some of the key things that you've seen over the years that haven't worked well for people, like obstacles for people that have, you know, not done it right, or, you know, things to look out for? It's like, if you go this far, if you turn this too far this way, you're going to run into here. You turn this far, you need to keep on track. What sort of things should people stay away from, or have you seen that have caused people grief over the years?
Yeah. Look, I'll start by saying this, right? In life, you know, you can't shy away from making mistakes, Nathan. You know what I mean? So I don't want our listeners to feel like they shouldn't try anything because they're too afraid of making mistakes. So I think the key thing is you need to learn from your mistakes, pick yourself up, and keep going. Like you and I think we both know this, right? I've made plenty of mistakes in my early life as well. But every time I made the mistake, the thing that comes back to me is, okay, what have I learned from it? Because if you haven't learned from your mistakes, then you haven't really learned the lesson. So life is funny. The lesson will come around again until you keep learning it, right? Until you got something out of it.
Some people never learn.
No, some people will never learn, Nathan. So look, first of all, you know, be acceptable that you'll make mistakes. But look, having said that as well, to actually make sure that you don't have a too steep learning curve, you can limit a lot of your mistakes by having good people around you, good advisors, seek advice from people who achieve sustained success. So I'm not talking about one-hit wonders. You know, there's a lot of people out there who achieve success overnight and then you don't see them again for the next decade or two, right? So to me, you know, having good mentors around you who've achieved sustained success is key. I think it's important. So either people who've achieved success or are achieving it, those are the people you need to have in your circle of influence. And you know, so having good mentors, learn from your mistakes, and also, you know, you need to venture out of your comfort zone. I think one of the things that I've seen that stops people from achieving great success is they're too afraid to venture out of their comfort zone. So when they get comfortable, they like to stay there. And look, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable, and there's probably times when you want to just be comfortable. But don't expect to achieve great results when you just want to be comfortable. It doesn't work that way. Yeah.
It's, I guess, you know, if you go and look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, he doesn't sit there and go, I'll go to the gym next week. But it doesn't, you're not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger tomorrow either from going to the gym and lifting weights once. You're going to have to keep going with having repetition and having a plan and having a strategy and having commitment and having focus. That's, I guess, the importance there is to, have that.
Yeah. And maybe one thing as well, Nathan, that I see in my line of work, I think, sometimes, especially when we're young, when we're starting off, we like to dabble in so many things. You know, we get excited because there's so many money-making ideas floating around, right? And you want to have a piece of the pie in every single, your finger on every single piece of the pie. But I think from my experience, I think greater success is achieved when you put your focus in one or two areas that you're good at or you're willing to become good at, and you stick with it, right? And you learn, become a master of it. And you know, when you start to become a master of that particular topic or subject or wealth creation vehicle that of your choosing, you will end up doing so much better at it than trying to focus on 10 different things.
I see these people come to me all the time, and they're like property is a vehicle. That's my favorite go-to. That's what we work with. But I see people that come to me and like, you can use property in many different ways, right? You can use it as a buy and hold, you can flip, you can subdivide, you can become a developer, whatever. Now I see these people that come in, they're like, I want to buy a property. They get a property, they go, I want to be a developer. I want to do a jump into this. I want to jump into that. And it's like they've gone to 10 different courses to go and do 10 different learnings, try and dabble in everything, and then they end up doing nothing because they get stuck. If you've got a system like Macca's didn't say, as if we take a successful business and just say McDonald's, whatever, for whatever reason we call it successful, if we look at McDonald's, their business is a $2, $3 cheeseburger, hamburger type model. Like, they don't go, oh, we're going to sell a nicer hamburger, we're going to add pineapple rings on it, and we're going to, put it doesn't. Yeah, so it's having that system that works for you. And there's not one system that works for every sort of options. Like, it's, I guess, important, and that's where you come in, is to work out what's someone's objective, where are they at, and what are they trying to achieve, and then what sort of strategy is going to work best for them to get to their own personal goals.
Absolutely, and that's what I work with clients with, Nathan. We sit down, we see what their interests are, what their strengths are, what resources they have, and what they're willing to sacrifice to achieve their goals as well. It's important, right? There's going to be hard work involved, and people got to stick to their goals, be disciplined. If you're not willing to put in the hard yards to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, guess what happens when you first hit an obstacle? You're going to give up, and that's what happened. So I think being able to have that attitude that you'll stick to it no matter what, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel, the benefits outweigh the hard work, then you'll continue on that path, right? Yeah.
And talking about the path, what would be, I guess, like, if you had like a few pointers, like, for people with their path, or what would be the basics for people, and what should they know about, like, I guess, when coming?
Yeah. Now, look, very good question. I think, first of all, it's good for people to take a stock take of their current situation, Nathan. I think, we don't spend enough, I don't think we spend enough time towards that. I think people live day by day, default, depending on how their day turns out, that's what they go with, right? But I think, there's a saying, right? Don't live your life by default, live by design. So I think the first starting point is, okay, so have a game plan in place. Okay, well, where do you want to go? And then work backwards. So if you want your life to be at this point, you need to then look at, okay, where am I now? So take a stock take of where you're now. And that's where we come into play as financial advisors. We sit down with our clients to look at what's their current situation, from an asset liability point of view, from an income, from expenses point of view. And once you have that foundation, then you can start building a strategic plan in place to bridge the gap between where you are now to where you want to be. So one of the things that I get my clients to do is, work out what sort of lifestyle do they want to have in X amount of years' time, right? So once they know what sort of lifestyle, then we look at, okay, so how much income would you need to fund that lifestyle? We have that number, Nathan. It's just then a matter of working out, okay, well, how much wealth do you need to then achieve that lifestyle, right? And again, once you work out that magic number, then you just look at, okay, so what wealth creation vehicles are we going to use to get us to achieve that wealth number, right? That amount of wealth that we need.
Sounds exactly what I say as well. So it's like we're on the same page. It's important. Like, a lot of people, like, I always say to everyone, like, you need to make sure that all of your team is on the same page. So it's good, like, as you're saying that, like, it's funny, like, internally, I'm like, these conversations on the daily about, working out where it is you want to be. and then trying to reverse engineer it to come to where you are and have that gap. That's what you need to work on and improve. So, I appreciate that, William. And I guess from your side, like, you've been in the game for a very long time. Like, I've seen lots of good advisors and bad advisors over the years, and unfortunately, there's less than a 2 or 3 that I trust, and that's why you're here. But
Appreciate it.
what would determine what would you say for those that are watching and listening today, in their own world of who they're working with and what they're doing? Like, what would determine a good advisor for you, and that people should watch out for when choosing one?
Yeah. Now, look, this is a very good question, Nathan. Look, I'll start by saying, look, there's good and bad people in every industry, Nathan, right? And a lot has been done by the government to try to make our industry, the financial advice industry, on a professional level, like accountants, solicitors, for example. So a lot of work has been done, and it's good for the consumers. There's added protection in that space. But, if someone's considering to work with an advisor, there's some key things that they can do to make sure that they sit in front of the right person. So one of the first things I suggest is they visit the ASIC website, where they can look up the financial advisor registry to make sure the financial advisor is registered, has a current and valid authority to practice, and there's no bans in place. The last thing you want, Nathan, is to work with an advisor that's been banned, right?
I've seen so many over the years. Like, when people come to me, just so everyone's aware, I don't give financial advice as to, sell this, do this, do this. I give advice about how to build your portfolio, like properties and whatnot. But I see people that have come in over the years, and in their position, I instantly know just from looking. Like, I just have a 1-page piece of documentation with their properties, their assets, like what you mentioned before, and all the assets, see how it looks. And I know when I see, like, trust this, trust that, the loan structure, whatever, if it's from the loans, if it's from the structuring, I sit there and I think your accountant's been dodgy without even picking up the phone call and having the chat with them yet. I'm like, your accountant's been wrong here, or your financial planner's been wrong, the advice has been terrible. And I see why they've done specific things, but it's always for the advisor's own personal benefit. And it's like, it hamstrings the investor from being able to move forward. So I see a lot of that stuff that's happened over the years,
Yeah, no, look, spot on. And look, we need to have duty of care, because clients come to us, they don't know what they don't know. So we're in a position of privilege where we need to act in the client's best interest. And that's what's the message that the government wants portrayed in the industry, and it's working, The other thing that I think people should be aware of in terms of selecting the right advisor is to look at whether their advisor is registered with a member association. So there's 2 major associations out there. There's the Financial Planning Association of Australia as well, or the FPA, which I'm part of. And the other one is the Association of Financial Advisors, or AFA. Look, it's not mandatory that they have to be associated with one of these big associations, but to me, it's ideal because it means that your advisor is accredited in order to be linked with one of these big associations. Because in order for you to be a member of these associations, you would have to demonstrate you've got a long history of ethics, code of ethics, you abide by it, you're professional, you have continuing development in your education. So those are just some of the key things that I think being a member of an association is important there, Nathan. The third thing is, I don't know many people are aware, but there's a website which rates financial advisors. There's a number of websites around, but the one that I sort of lean on towards for reviews, which I've got my profile as well, is the advisorratings.com.au. Yeah, so they collect all reviews on clients, that's given feedback on their financial advisor based on the service and advice given, and they give the advisor a rating out of 5, overall rating out of 5, but based on a number of criteria. So I think that's a great website to get started as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never knew that there was such a website for that, but it's good because if someone's not doing the right thing, then it's, they can fine them, and it's tied to the person, not to the entity that they're working for or the business that they're running. It's tied to the person's license, which is very good. Awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. But the last thing I'll say, Nathan, just on that topic, and like with everything, right? We tend to work with people that we get along well, that shares our core values. And I think that's important. I mean, if you're going to choose an advisor, an accountant, a solicitor, they may be good at what they do, but are they the type of people that you would want to spend time to that's likable? For example,
you're trusting with. It's trusting with your money. Like it's.
Exactly.
I've seen things over the years where people have I actually just had someone in the property space the other day. There's a property company out there that has like a whole team of advisors and stuff like that. And I just realized, I had a few of my investors message me and say, hey, I invested with this company before meeting you years ago, and they asked them to invest money with them. So it's like a 2-year plan or a 3-year plan, and they put it with them and they take their money. And the place has gone bankrupt and they're in liquidators. There's liquidators involved. And it's like, I'm like, wow, like these guys are a property company with slick marketing, very cool. And the reason why I went like this is because they had like tattoos and they looked all slick and all that. And the internet marketing was like tremendous, but all these people have lost their cash now. And how often can someone see that? Like they're actually entrusting you with their retirement, with their, they work 40 years of their life, and it's up to you to, be credible for that. So you can trust, I guess, whoever, but if you're with the wrong advice, you're not going to get to where you want to be. So, yeah.
No, absolutely.
On that note, I can see that we're sort of, I could sit here all day and talk to you, William. You're a gentleman, and I know we've got to cut it at a time, but just on that note, like if anyone wants to get in contact with William, William's very sought after. He's got a long waiting list of people who always want to see him, and very decorated with what he does. If you'd like to get in contact with William, reach out to the B.Invested headquarters, 1300 367 925. Email us at admin@binvested.com.au. Ask for a catch up with William. My team will be able to book you in with an appointment with William. It could be in a week, a fortnight, a month, 2 months. Sometimes William's very, very busy just because he's very sought after. So, make sure that, if you're dealing with your wealth, whether you're just starting out or whether you've got a more advanced position, the more I feel that you put into your position, the bigger you get, the more you've got to lose. So you want to take those caution steps and have the right team and support group around you. I always think that deep down, I'm like, I'm the greatest, I do everything great, right? The reality is that this podcast wouldn't be out to the community if it wasn't for my, communications team. It wouldn't be, for the things that move around inside the business with the 100-odd team members in our headquarters. So we're only as good as the team that we've got around us, and we need great people. And I appreciate, William, that you help out our community and our investors with their journey. So I want to thank you on that. And leave it at that. But any further comments, William, just before we wrap up?
No, look, it's always a pleasure, Nathan, having a chat to you. And I think to our listeners, I'll just close by saying, look, just make yourself, have your own story. You be the hero, and you need to have your own painting, and you're the artist. So have a good team of people around you. I think that's key as well in helping you make the informed decisions, and it helps cut your learning curve. So, man, thanks for the opportunity today, Nathan.
Pleasure, William. I appreciate that, mate. Keep being a gentleman. Keep doing what you do. Great.
All right. You too. Okay. Thanks, Nathan.
Like Bilal said, man, we're stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar back to die, soon to be hyperinflated. This my 2 cents, don't care if you save it. Joint be decentralized and you will see you've been lied to the whole time, and it's the irony, cause they do the exact opposite. You become a slave to the system, enough your money, all they do is profit. There's no conspiracy theory, you better hear me. Crypto will set you free before the system does. I don't care if you do or you don't, but what I'm saying is is the truth to the reason you choke. I never been a failure, excuse my behavior. Keep talking, haters doing me a favor. They all tell lies, I know what they been telling you. I'm the opposite, the Donald Trump of Australia. It's amazing, here for the taking. My